Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of January 4th, 2026. Happy New Year! I am delighted to host a free webinar called Navigate 2026 in Sync with the Moon. I'm going to talk about the moons of 2026 and some things to look out for. I hope to see you there. It's going to be on January 17th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. If you can't make it live, you can get the recording, but the benefit of coming live is I will do a few hot take readings to demonstrate what I'm talking about on participants' charts. You can register at the link in the show notes or go to astrologybyceleste.com. The theme of this week is follow the leader, and there are three big things I want you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that Venus Cazimi is on January 6th at 16 degrees of Capricorn at 8:35 a.m. Pacific time. When a planet goes Cazimi, it meets the sun. So Venus is in the heart of the sun. Right before that, the planet is old, it's dying. Then it meets the sun, old stories are burned away. And afterwards, it's a rebirth. Venus rules relationships, peace, diplomacy, beauty, wealth, money, banking. We can also think about art and culture, entertainment, women's issues. It's in the sign of Capricorn, which rules the government, big business, the elderly, structures, systems, legacy, authority. Venus in Capricorn brings to mind values in the realm of power, professionalism, and institutions. Now, the sun is the authority. It's the sovereign, the king. So when Venus sits at the heart of the king in the Cazimi, there's a ability to ask a request for a favor. And the sovereign's supposed to grant it because this is considered a very favorable position. When people are born with a planet Cazimi, that planet can operate at a higher level. Oprah is someone who has Venus Cazimi, although it's in the sign of Aquarius. In her second house, she came from poverty and was able to work her way up with her talents, her ability to connect with a large group and audience into becoming a billionaire. Others with Venus Cazimi may be really beautiful, have a partner that's very wealthy, have the ability to be extremely diplomatic, be an artist. There are all sorts of things that can show up. There's disagreement about how tight the orb needs to be. Some people look at it as just as long as they're in the same degree, they consider a planet Cazimi if it's at the same degree of the sun. But there's also 17 minutes, which is a very tight orb. It's thought to be Cazimi, especially 17 minutes on either side. So what you can do with this is at 8:35 a.m., you can stop, take some time to think about what blessings do you want from the universe? What do you want to achieve in your career? What kind of money do you want to make? And do a little meditation, and maybe some insights in terms of next steps can come to you. It's a great time to maybe ask your boss, if you have one, what do I need to do to get to the next step? Can I have a mentor? How do I get a better raise? These are things you can be thinking about. The day after Venus meets the sun, which will be the 7th, Venus has just started a new cycle and Mars is at the end of one. And Venus and Mars will come together in Capricorn. Venus wants harmony and agreement, but Mars wants action and results. And when they meet, something is getting negotiated. This could look like a peace deal, some kind of financial agreement, a professional negotiation, or a power dynamic in a relationship can come into focus. January 5th was Marjorie Taylor Greene's last day in Congress, and she has a Leo moon. She is not going out quietly. So I've got my eye on her this week. She may be doing the rounds, talking about all kinds of details. Capricornian imagery brings to mind figures like Miranda Priestley from The Devil Wears Prada. The character was modeled after Anna Wintour, the editor of Vogue. And think about how Meryl Streep portrayed her. Rigid, polished, always wearing things that were very tailored. Beauty expressed through control and hierarchy. She gives this big speech about cerulean blue and being the color of the season. Venus in Capricorn also brings to mind themes of monuments and statues, especially feminine symbols of power, like the Statue of Liberty. Watch for stories about statues, monuments, restorations, unveilings, things like that, or representations of women being reintroduced, reframed, or taken away with Venus conjunct Mars. Mars severs and separates. In the government, as an attack on DEI, they are taking away all things, not just accomplishments by people of color, but also by women. Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene will bring that up as she leaves her role. Mars near Venus adds pressure, diplomacy under strain. We may be hearing about coercion, bribes, or ethical questions. At the time of the Cazimi, the moon is at 29 degrees of Leo. That is Donald Trump's ascendant. And that degree is also associated with the fixed star Regulus, the star of kings. It's associated with leadership, visibility, and authority. There could be very public announcement. And soon after, the moon moves into Virgo and a disseminating phase where it's spreading information. And Virgo can be critical. So think about how Venus has a rebirth. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she ends her Congress. That's a death of part of her life, a rebirth into the next part. What is she announcing? What is she saying? What is she letting go of as the moon enters Virgo? On a personal level, you may find yourself asking for recognition, having important conversations about money, commitments, shared resources. This is a great week to remember when you are dialoguing to be professional, clear, know your worth. And maybe you decide you want to change your wardrobe, have more of a power look. When you ask the sovereign at the right moment, you may be surprised. You may get the blessing you asked for. Venus is being reborn. Mars is wrapping things up. Old value systems burn away. Watch what is ending and what's being negotiated, what's being reborn. The last time Venus and Mars met at 18 Capricorn, it was February 16th, 2022. President Biden warned the world right about then that Russia was going to invade Ukraine. There was a shark attack. Venus rules recreation. Someone doing recreation was attacked by a shark. I've been talking about the movie Open Water lately, which is a great movie. It's scary. It's about this couple that goes on a excursion to go deep sea diving, and they have a problem because they get back to the surface late. If you're looking for a great movie, I suggest that. It's based on a true story. Prince Andrew reached an out-of-court settlement with Virginia Guthrie, one of the Epstein victims. So something may be coming up about that. Venus paying money for Mars, the harm he caused her. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Marjorie Taylor Greene standing with a bunch of Epstein victims and them starting to name names. Remington Arms agreed to pay $73 million to Sandy Hook families because their product, guns, which is Mars, were used for harm, and Venus, the money was restitution. So really notice what stories you see in the news. What do you hear people talking about? Someone may be telling you their divorce is final. A lot of things will be coming up this week related to Venus and Mars that will be in our conscious attention as these planets meet, and they meet the sun as well. I love the Wise Skies digital astrology calendar. It puts the astrology right in the palm of your hand. Planetary transits, moon phases, and retrogrades, so you can plan with the cosmos, not against them. I use it to choose the best times for vacations, work projects, launches, and rest days. You'll get clear daily guidance and some links to deeper resources so that you always know what's happening and how to work with it. My collaborator and friend Tiffany Herlick adds more to it each year. Grab the 2026 digital astrology calendar with my coupon code ABC2026 for a $10 discount. The link is in the show notes. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that Mars will have its Cazimi cycle on January 9th, that's Friday, at 19 degrees of Capricorn at 3:41 a.m. So just like Venus, this is a moment when the planet meets the king and can ask for a favor, but Mars wants very different things than Venus. Mars wants action, confrontation, movement, sometimes conflict, competition, independence, energy, drive, a power motor. The last time they met, it was in Scorpio, where the sun met Mars, where Mars was at home. This was back in 2023, right after October 7th and the war on Gaza. That brought an amplification of Mars energy around power, control, survival. Now Mars is meeting the sun again, but this time it's in Capricorn, where Mars is exalted. Mars here is lifted up, has a special seat at the table. It has status. It's being supported by authority, institutions, and benefactors. Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that Donald Trump told her to not vote for releasing the Epstein files because his friends would be having difficulties. So Mars, Cazimi, and Capricorn will put a spotlight on decisions being made by the highest levels of governments and corporations, conflicts sanctioned by governments or the authority, something aggressive being justified as necessary. And at the same time Mars goes Cazimi, the Sun, Mars, and Venus are all at 19 degrees. So the Sun, Mars, and Venus have been moving together for a while. But now they're all getting ready to oppose Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, which is at 20 degrees. Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. Jupiter rules wealth and abundance. Retrograde suggests this stuff is coming from the past. This opposition highlights a deep tension between systems of power, Capricorn, and the human, emotional, and protective side of things, Cancer. Institutions versus people, authority versus care. So many people in the U.S. are no longer able to avoid their health care because of losing subsidies. Now, both sides of this opposition, this Cancer, Capricorn opposition, which is really in our vision because we just had a Cancer full moon yesterday. This tension is really going to be going all week about people coming up against institutions. I was just thinking about Aaron Brockovich. Both sides of this opposition are also squaring Chiron and Eris in Aries. Aries is a fighter. Eris is the goddess of chaos. Aaron Brockovich went up against PG&E, the power company, to get money back for all these people who were harmed, Chiron wounds. This brings in themes of pain, exclusion, anger, rebellion, wounds that have been ignored are being activated. Voices that feel dismissed may push back harder, like the Epstein victims starting to name names. We'll see if they really do. Marjorie Taylor Greene said she asked the president to meet some Epstein victims, and he said they don't deserve the honor. It was denied. There may be more allegations involving wealth, power, exploitation, and protection of elites with this Capricorn, Cancer, and Aries tension. This is making what we call a T-square in cardinal signs. Cardinal signs are action takers. And whenever there's a T-square, there is an outlet. And Aries is at the apex, so Libra is the outlet. People are going to be wanting justice. This is a moment where conflict could escalate, grievances may be aired publicly. Capricorn also rules monuments and legacy, so we may see something very grandiose or ego-driven. We know the president slapped his name on the Kennedy Center of the Arts. Will he announce he's putting his face on Mount Rushmore? We shall see. Notice if he's doing something else grandiose just to put his name or his face somewhere. Whatever that's being set in motion, it's not going to be subtle. We're going to see it. This is a great learning opportunity to see what happens when the Sun and Mars come together with Venus right there and opposite Jupiter, which amplifies everything. The last thing I want to make you aware of is we have a last quarter moon at 20 Libra on Saturday, which is perfect because the moon comes in. These are the people wanting justice, making tension. Now that cardinal T-square becomes a cardinal cross. Last quarter moons are crises of consciousness. This is a moment in the lunar cycle when we realize that something is not sustainable in its current form and adjustments have to be made. Libra is a sign of the scales. It rules diplomacy, negotiation, fairness, contracts, and one-on-one relationships. And Libra, ideally on the high road, wants win-win solutions in one-on-one relationships, not power over. The sun is in Capricorn that says get in line in the hierarchy, and the moon is in Libra that says, no, we the people want fairness. We want the leader to give us justice. This puts emotional needs face-to-face with authority, systems, and leadership. This can feel like a deal being made between leadership and a group of people, creates a pinch. Something gets adjusted, trimmed, or taken away because Mars is right in the name of being responsible or cost-cutting. On a literal level, your CEO could be announcing a new policy, benefits being reduced, budgets tightening, or something small but symbolic like no more perks at work. I remember I worked for a company and they took away our hot chocolate one year for saving money that was available for free in all of the break rooms. It was a small thing, but it gave people a little pinch. Something that was providing comfort gets traded for efficiency. Later in my career, there was these open air environments where they took people out of offices and put them all at card tables in the middle of the room with no privacy. It's just horrible what companies have been doing to people over the last several decades. The benefits people get at work have been chipped away more and more as the elites hoard more and more wealth so they can have luxury yachts and private jets where the people are sitting at a card table looking at their neighbor, trying to have a phone conversation. On the world stage, watch diplomacy closely. Libra's about negotiation and treaties. With the sun and Capricorn, there can be deals being made by governments, corporations, or institutions. Announcements around war or peace, trade agreements, business mergers. And notice how people are responding emotionally. Libra is a cardinal air sign that wants to partner and negotiate, but its ruler, Venus, is in Capricorn, the sign of the leader. This suggests new partnerships may feel transactional rather than warm. On a personal level, this last quarter moon asks you to look at how your responsibilities are divided in your life. Capricorn rules work and duty, Libra balance. How are the chores, the emotional labor, and money split in your household if you live with other people? Who walks the dog could be something you're talking about. If something feels unfair or overwhelming, this is a great time to address it if you have the kind of partner who you can address these things with. If you're stretched too thin, this is a practical moment to think about, can I bring in help? Maybe you can hire a housekeeper if you can afford it, or get help with organization, or add a tool that helps you reduce the labor, like a Roomba. Creating balance can sometimes mean admitting you can't do everything alone, and Libra wants balance. Now, Capricorn rules the knees, bones, and joints, and Libra rules the kidneys, urinary system, and balance in our bodies. So if your knees are bothering you, it's a good time to think about doing new exercises. Pay attention to your hydration, your blood pressure. Maybe you need some cranberry juice to help your kidneys. Some questions to ask yourself: what needs to be renegotiated so life feels more sustainable? What adjustments now will prevent you from burnout later? The moon phase family of this cycle started with a solar eclipse, where the sun and the moon were both at 21 degrees of Libra on October 14th, 2023. This was right after October 7th, and we know everything that's happened since then. This could be a really emotional time for a lot of people who are from Israel or Gaza. The first quarter moon of this phase was the sun in Cancer, the moon in Libra, both at 22 degrees on July 13th, 2024. The first quarter moon is a time of course correction, actions. The full moon of the phase was the sun was in Aries, the moon in Libra, both at 23 degrees, April 12th, 2025. The last quarter moon at this cycle, lessons learned, is where we are now with the sun in Capricorn, the moon in Libra, both at 20 degrees, January 10th, 2026. Look back. Is there a story in your life? If you have anything around 20 to 25 degrees of these cardinal signs, you may see a story which had pivot points at these dates. The episode is called Follow the Leader. It is a children's game where one person leads and everyone imitates. There's no questioning, just copying. The danger is obvious. If the leader jumps off a cliff, everyone follows. MAGA is a very visual symbol of this in real life, where there is blind obedience, groupthink, abdicating responsibility. Congress has given up all their responsibilities and are just following what the president tells them to do, and it's really hurting the American people. This fits the Capricorn shadow of dictatorial action. There's chain of command themes, loyalty over ethics, and action without reflection. Some movies that could be associated with this are The Hunger Games, where there's themes about power structures and obedience. V for vendetta, authority versus moral truth. And the Manchurian Candidate, programmed action. So those are some movies that fit with the energy of the week. This podcast is supported by tools and practices I use myself. One of those is Solar Fire software. Whether you're an astrology hobbyist just exploring charts, an enthusiastic student, or you have a full professional practice, Solar Fire is such a powerful companion. It doesn't just store charts, it animates them. You can move forward or backward in time and watch transits, progressions, and timing techniques unfold in real motion. I customize chart layouts, keep my client notes organized, and run reports I use all the time. It's deep enough for advanced work, but still approachable when you're learning. You can use my code Celeste15 for 15% off at alabe.com. On Sunday, the word of the day is handshake. I'm getting themes of a gentleman's agreement. We just had a full moon in Cancer. What have we become aware of? The moon enters Leo at 5:43 a.m. Pacific time. Leo moons are times to think about how you want to lead, what creative things you want to do, what lights you up. How can you let your light shine? Are you being appreciated and valued for things? The moon will oppose Pluto in Aquarius at 2 degrees. So some things may come up to your conscious attention or be in the collective about how people have been oppressed by Leonic type. There can be big news about royalty, celebrities, things like that. You will notice people are more animated when the moon is in Leo, moving their hands. Someone's hands may be shaking. It's dramatic. People may be wearing more red. Just notice what you're seeing. On Monday, the word of the day is abracadabra, and I got the Lady Gaga song in my head. The Leo moon is square Saturn and Neptune, and then Mercury in Capricorn. This is a day Congress should be back in session. We'll see what Marjorie Taylor Greene pulls out of her hat. Magician energy. On Tuesday, the word of the day is usurp. This is a day Venus Cazimi's at 16 degrees of Capricorn at 8:35 a.m. Pacific time. Takes some time to wish upon a star, ask for blessings. Maybe you want to talk to your boss or your mentor. Can you make peace with someone? I think there's going to be big news related to the president. I wrote down the president is usurped by the king. I was thinking about King Charles or like big news related to that some point during this week, the president's going to announce something and it's not going to get the attention because it's going to be usurped. The Virgo moon begins at 8:56 a.m. Pacific time. We're having a disseminating moon at 1 degree of Virgo at 11:35 a.m. Pacific time. The moon switch from Leo to Virgo can be a big adjustment. So Leo, the president wants to announce some big thing, maybe some peace deal, maybe some trade agreement, but health news gets in the way when the moon goes into Virgo, or a system has a problem. Virgo is also the maiden, so this can be the Epstein victims disseminating people's names out. We'll see how this shows up, but the word of the day is usurp. So it may not literally be the president, but notice if someone's big news is stepped on. And what I've been doing, I just started this, and I'll try to keep it up as much as I can. As stories show up in the news related to the podcast, I will do videos on my YouTube channel. You can go to my YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, please, and I hope you enjoy that. On Wednesday, the word of the day is knead, like kneading bread, KNEAD. The Virgo moon is sesquisquare Pluto in Aquarius. So there's some kind of adjustment, and Mercury and Capricorn is square Ceres, the goddess of the grain and the harvest, in Aries, both at 8 degrees. I wrote down breadbasket. Is there some kind of deal about food or agriculture? Venus and Mars are conjunct at 18 Capricorn. Are we going to be hearing about settlements related to injury from agricultural products or equipment? We'll see how the Venus-Mars conjunction shows up. But the planet of desire and collaboration meets the planet of Mars, which is about action taking, and they fuse their energy in the sign of Capricorn. Notice what you're seeing show up days before and after. On Thursday, the word of the day is negotiate. Mercury and Capricorn is trine the south node and sextile the north node at 10 degrees. Mercury trine the south node, be mindful about what you are talking about. The south node removes all restrictions. And you may want to just get into the nitty-gritty details, and that'll be easy. And if what you're doing needs that, this can be great. But if what you're doing needs you to think about compassion or look at the bigger picture, there is the opportunity with the sextile to the north node. The north node has associations with groups, the south node with a drain. Will be interesting to see if we notice anything. And the moon in Virgo is opposite Saturn in Pisces. So this can be about water problems or grain issues. We could think about Virgo job is to bring order to chaos, separate the wheat from the chaff. And then the moon moves into Libra. So if you'd been talking about the details while the moon was in Virgo, when the moon goes into Libra, maybe you can come up to an agreement where you both have win-win situations. And that starts at 4:05 p.m. Pacific time. On Friday, the word of the day is diplomacy. Mars meets the sun at 19 degrees of Capricorn at 3:41 a.m. And then on the same day, Venus in Capricorn is opposite Jupiter retrograde in Cancer at 9:34 a.m. Pacific time. There is going to be a story that involves Mars meeting the sun and Venus opposite Jupiter. Now, Venus rules money and women, and Jupiter rules wealth, celebrity. The Libra moon squares Mercury and Capricorn at 12 degrees. Maybe there'll be some kind of judgment from courts, or notice when we see diplomatic things, people coming to agreements. Will the head of Venezuela step down? The pressure from the United States is growing and growing and growing on Maduro to step down. On Saturday, the word of the day is backlash. The Capricorn sun and then Mars in Capricorn both go to 20 degrees and oppose Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. So something is being magnified. Jupiter makes everything bigger. And people are involved because the moon in Libra squaring Jupiter, then Mars. And then we have a last quarter moon at 20 degrees of Libra at 7:48 a.m. Pacific time. And the moon squares Venus at 21. So there is so much action happening on the day. The action may come in on Friday or even Thursday evening after the moon goes into Libra. But whatever's happening, there's going to be criticism about it. It may show up on Sunday, but this is a big deal. Governments making big decisions impact families, housing, food, or safety. Is something going on in Gaza? We know that there's plans to turn this land into a play station for the rich people or some kind of city for big businesses. It's all very obscene. But the public backlash can be very loud about this. And stories may come up about women, children, victims, or caretakers challenging the authority. There'll be moral debates about whatever is going on. Financial and political decisions will be framed as necessary, but people will find them emotionally devastating. So really notice what's coming up. Is this about Maduro in Venezuela, about what's going on in Gaza, or what's going on in Ukraine? What leader is being taken out? How are we following the leader? It'll be really interesting to see when Sun, Mars, and Capricorn, that can be the beheading of government authority officials. Don't forget to register for my free workshop on January 17th. I hope to see you there. That's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology in action stories, or let me know how the themes are playing out for the week. Take good care, and I'll catch you when you come for a personal reading or when you're listening to the podcast next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.